everybody and welcome to the 51st episode of the Lovebird Lane podcast. If you are new, welcome. My name is Julianne, I am your host, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. So I skipped last week. There's many and varied reasons for that, mostly the fact that I'm suffering quite a bit with my mental health at the moment, so I'm finding it really hard to work up the energy to do anything. So that has been a little bit debilitating over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm just going through the motions at this point in time. I went and saw my therapist yesterday, so you know, no need to worry, I am being treated. She has suggested that I possibly need new medications, so that is something I'm going to take care of tomorrow. So never fear, I am looking after myself. I'm taking as much rest as I can, and at this point I'm just going through my routines and making sure that I keep up with things just to prevent myself from wallowing in self-pity and depression. So no more of that. I have just noticed that my neighbour's dog is going off her brain right now, so please forgive that. She does it all the time and she's getting worse, so good thing we're going to be moving in a couple of months. But anyway, I have a couple of finished objects for you today. You can just get a little sneaky peek of one just there, and I have one project, well, 2 projects that I'm working on, one knitting, one spinning. I've just realised I forgot a skein of handspun that I have finished that I wanted to show you, so bear with me, I've got to go find that. Found it, it was pretty close at hand, so I guess we can get on with what I have finished for now. We'll start with the handspun perhaps. So this one, I think I have shown this on the vidcast before. I had it on the wheel. I might have put in a picture or something. I know it's definitely been on my Instagram. I get confused what has been on the vidcast and on the Instagram. But this was some handspun that I have done. It is Malabrigo Nube. Yes, I did speak about it because I remember I said that it was a little bit compacted from having been in storage for so long. But yeah, this is some Malabrigo Nube. It is just a 2-ply. And as I said last time, I split the braid to have 2 halves, and then I split 1 half into 4, and then I did actually just spin the other half full. I did mention that I might be splitting it in half, but no, I just went straight ahead and spun the whole second half without splitting at all. So as you can see, it creates, I believe this is a fractal, so you get some sections that are like, say, green on green or blue on blue, so you've got this very light blue strand here, but then others are barber poling, and that's part of that fractal splitting of the braid. So I haven't actually worked out what my yardage was that I got. I think it is approximately a sport weight, which is usually what I get. I spun this a little bit differently to what I normally do because I've been a little bit disappointed with my handspun for a little while, and I think that's mostly because I overspin my singles and it makes a bit more of a wiry type of yarn occasionally. Sometimes you can get enough of that spin out when you're plying, because the plying kind of takes a little bit of the twist out. But this is kind of the look that I have seen other people make, and I've always tried to figure out how it is that they get that look where it's that really nice sort of, what do you call it, sharp twist angle on the ply. So it's, I mean, what would it be? It's very much a 45-degree or more twist angle, and you've got those lovely fluffy singles going in there. So I didn't under spin the singles. Well, I tried to use, because this isn't actually the whole amount of yarn, I did have some singles left after plying this skein, and I tried to do a chain ply on them and it kept breaking. So my singles were perfectly fine for plying like this and I had no problem whatsoever. However, when I started to try and chain ply, that was when it started to pull apart. So in the end, I had to throw away all that was left of my singles because I just couldn't get it to stay intact. Possibly I could have wound it off like a butterfly, winding off on my hand and plied it against itself. That probably would have worked, but by the time I had discovered that the chain ply wasn't working, I kind of have got a little bit of the shits with it, and I just threw it in the bin. But I do have this beautiful skein, and it did come out a lot nicer than I thought. I initially thought I don't want to keep this yarn, but it is really, really pretty. I don't know what I would make with it. It's possible Simon might want something out of it. He tends to have mitts in winter. He has got a hand spun pair of mitts that are looking very worse for wear, so we could probably compost those and I could make him another pair out of this. If not, it will end up in the shop. If anybody is interested in purchasing this skein, please feel free to let me know and I can list it for you. But other than that, it probably will end up something for Simon. But yeah, like I said, I haven't figured out what my yardage is on this. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. It's fairly consistent. It's got a little bit of you know, thick and thin, but it's not hugely obvious. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that, and I think I will definitely spin more yarn in a similar technique to this one. So I guess I will move on. And my projects are very varied this week that I have finished. I have spinning, I have weaving, which I'm going to show you now, and I have some knitting. So this is a scarf. Another one. It is finished, it is washed, it just hasn't had its press and the ends taken off it. I did my tassels before washing this time because I found when I wash it with just the fringe, it can get a little bit sort of messy, and it's really hard to cut it off at a level sort of length. I think that's the word that I want. So I did it beforehand. There was still a little bit of you know, I can't, words, what are words? A little bit of an inaccurate length in place to place. There are a few little things, but yeah, I did my tassels, well not tassels, my fringe before. Is that in the frame? Yes it is. I did my fringe before I washed it, and this turned out really, really lovely. It's very even. The edges are really quite good. I'm pretty thrilled with how neat those edges are. I'll try and get it focused. And this is my own yarn. This is my Highland worsted base, which was 100% non-superwash Highland yarn, and this is the colorway Whisper. So it's like a pink with little pops of yellow. I don't know if they're coming through. Yeah, you can kind of see that fluoro yellow. There's a little piece here that you'll be able to really see. There's like fluoro yellow pops on it. So for anybody who is part of my Patreon and saw the weave and chat that I shared last week, I spoke about the yellow pops, and I didn't actually share the photo like I said that I would, but that is here. What I've just shown you is what I was talking about. So yeah, overall I'm pretty pleased with it. It's a nice big wide one, like as you can see on me, it's like quite wide and relatively long. So that is it folded in half. So it's a nice big snuggly wrap slash scarf. This one will be going in the shop at some point, and yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. Like, I just think that I did really well with my tension, I suppose. Would you call it? I don't know. I don't really know what you call it when you've got nice even weave. And the fact that this is non-superwash yarn as well, it really did bloom and fill in the gaps between the picks and in the weft. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think I mentioned, I probably mentioned in the patron only weave and chat last week that I initially dyed this yarn to make myself a cardigan, But yeah, I wasn't feeling those yellow pops, and if you recall, I don't really like yellow. I don't really like green that much, even though I'm kind of warming up towards the green. It has to be a certain type of green, but yeah, yellow's just not really my jam. So I figured I probably wouldn't really wear a cardigan, even though it's pink. It's like a mauvey pink. I probably wouldn't wear a cardigan with yellow in it. So I thought, all right, well, I'll weave that yarn and have a scarf for somebody. And my final FO is my curling mist socks. So this is my first pair of socks from the Curious Handmade Sock Society. Is that focusing? Here we go. So these are the curling mist socks, and I have finished. The toes are kind of odd because they're very pointy. Usually I stop my decreases on my toes at 24 stitches. No, yeah. Usually I stop my toe decreases at 24 stitches, but the pattern actually called for 12 stitches. So they're really pointy to me, which they look kind of funny. Like from the side, they kind of look like little elf shoes. So I haven't actually tried these on yet to see how the toes fit. Hopefully they fit okay. But yeah, this is my yarn. This is my cashmere sock base, and in the colorway, which I'm just calling at the moment, it's a new colorway, I'm just calling it Curling Mist at this point in time. I don't know if that's going to stick, but that's what I'm calling it at this point in time, just because I have no other name and I'm terrible at naming yarns. So I'm really happy with the way it knit up on the stockinette. It looks really, really lovely. Like as I was saying before, I am warming up to green a little bit, and this kind of has helped because I crafted a green that has just enough blue in it that I like it. Although there is like quite a bit of that yellowy moss kind of green in there. There is a nice sage green over the top that's kind of a bit more blue. So I'm really glad these are finished, and I've finished them just in time for next week, the next pattern to come out. So I need to dye some yarn next week. I saw the spoiler for the yarn for the next pair of socks, and it's a sock set in fact. So there's a main color and a contrast color. So I am undecided actually whether I want to use some of my Vine yarns, but it is the footsie base, which is, if you recall, is what I knit my house party socks out of recently, and I did not love that sock knitting experience, I have to say. So I don't think I'm going to go for that. I think I'll probably just dye up some yarn that is similar to the yarn that is being used for the pattern. Which is a very simple, I think it's just a very pale lilac with some brown speckles and then like a purpley grey contrast. So yeah, I'm probably just going to dye some of that up on one of my bases. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do it on the cashmere sock again or I'll do it on my BFL sock. The yarn that was used in the pattern is a merino nylon sock yarn, and I have stopped carrying that, so I replaced it with this one, which is merino cashmere nylon. So yeah, I'm unsure what base I'm going to use at this point, but next week I will probably be dyeing up some yarn, and I figured while I'm there, perhaps I will dye up some sock sets. So if you would like to knit those socks as well, you can pick up a sock set that either matches mine or one that's very similar. I thought I'd do a couple of different shades, so that if that is something that interests you, please stay tuned till next week. I will show you what yarns I have dyed, and also follow me on Instagram at Lovebird Lane to see it over there. And now on to works in progress, and very, very quickly at the beginning, I'm doing a little bit more spinning. I did start a new spinning project, and that is some very deep stash again. It is some Hilltop Cloud club yarn. I was part of the Time Travelers Club on Hilltop Cloud. That dog will not shut up, will she? Yes, and it was called Radioactive, and it's green, and I thought I'm going to get that out of my stash. So I am spinning that up. I was gonna say stir, I'm stirring that up. I'm spinning that up, and I will pop in a picture just now so that you can see where I'm at. I have not finished. I've split it in two. I just did 50 grams because it's a 100-gram pack. I just split it in half, and at least with that one I can do it by weight because I can do it end to end because it's the same color all the way through. It's like a blended yarn. I believe it's merino, bamboo and stellina, so there's a little bit of sparkle in there. So I've just split it 50-50 and I'm just going to two-ply it. So yeah, I'm probably 2/3 the way through the first bump, and yeah, we'll see how we go. I haven't spun on that for the last couple of days, but yeah, that is what is currently on the wheel. And finally, the last thing that I have to share is I have picked up my Winter's Beach Cardi again, and because pretty much I finished my curling mist socks, and that was kind of the plan. Was, if you remember a couple of episodes ago, I wanted to finish my house party socks and I wanted to finish my minty socks prior to casting on the curling mist socks. I wasn't able to get the minty socks finished. They are still going. I haven't worked on them. They're just, I can see them, they're just sitting over there with all my other crafting bits and pieces over by my seat. And yeah, so I haven't worked on those, but I did finish the curling mist, so I've picked up my Winter's Beach Cardi again. And I think I'm possibly, this is the inside, I'll show you the outside, that's probably the more interesting side. This I think is fairly close to splitting for the back and the fronts. I needed to, I think it's 13 inches or something. I think last time I checked I was 11 inches from, you're supposed to measure it from the center, middle, center back. So yeah, I think I'm close. I'm possibly close to splitting for the back and the fronts, but I'm still enjoying this, although I am finding it, if you recall, if you've been a long time follower, I get a lot of pain in my hands and arms. My shoulders, my elbows, my hands, my wrists, mostly when the weather is cool. And this week it has been really cool for summer. We have had an incredibly mild summer. Like today I'm wearing full-length track pants and I'm really wanting to go and put some socks on because it is chilly. And usually in February we have really hot weather, and even continuing into March, so I feel like we're almost going into the cooler weather now. I don't know if we've got any, you know, I think it's fairly temperate. I think the next week or so it's going to be sort of the mid to high 20s. I think today is only supposed to be 23 or something, so it's actually really cool for summer, which is not usual here. But yes, my hands have been, that's all that is to say. My hands have been quite sore, and with the huge amount of cables in this plus the double moss stitch, it's been taking a bit of a toll on my hand. So I kind of have to knit this a little bit at a time, which is really irritating because it is gorgeous and I want to keep knitting on it because I cannot wait to have this finished and be able to wear it when the weather really does get cold. I mean, I feel like I could wear this today if I'm completely honest. But yeah, it's I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing, just going knitting up and until I get to that measurement and I can split for the fronts and the backs. The fronts and the back. But yeah, this is yet another unnamed colorway. It is like a bronzy pinky brown. It's a brown, like it's a chocolate brown I suppose, but it does skew quite a lot to the red sort of side. So I'm loving this colorway, and I still have not had inspiration of what to call it, so I'm just continuing on with this poor unnamed colorway. The inspiration has not struck yet. I am still not alternating skeins, I don't think. I mean, I can kind of see on the viewfinder there seems to be a little bit of variation, but in real life you just don't notice it because there's so much texture there in real life that you just can't. You see the texture more than you see any variance in color. So yeah, it's, I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pockets last time I showed you, so it's just pretty much the same thing. I think I was already past the pock I'm still happy to go ahead and not alternate skeins. I wound up my last 3 balls of yarn yesterday, and yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to make it with those 3, because as I mentioned before, I believe I was supposed to have 6.8 skeins of yarn, and I only dyed 6, because often when I do garments I end up with a heap of yarn left over, and it's like, well, what do I do with this now? I don't want to keep knitting with this yarn, but I've just got all this yarn left. So I just dyed the 6 because I thought I'd probably get away with it just with the 6. But yeah, I'm not sure now, because yeah, like I said, I'm not quite ready to split for the fronts and the backs, although I suppose 3 skeins of yarn, I'm almost at 3 skeins of yarn with all of this. So I mean, it's very long, like I'm almost at 3 skeins of yarn. I've just got that much left of my 3rd skein. So really I've only got to do 2 fronts, the back and sleeves, so I might be able to squeak it out of the 6, but we will have to see, because I don't really want to dye more of this, because I'm really worried that it's not going to match, because all of this was dyed on the same day. I did 6 skeins in the same day, and I'm really worried that if I try and dye some more, it's not going to match this properly. So yeah, I'm really hoping that it will work with the 6 skeins that I have. And that being said, I'm hoping to get some of the curling mist yarn and this yarn into the shop very soon. So if you do love those colorways, and if you are also, don't forget, if you're interested in the Curious Handmade pattern 2 yarn that I'm going to be dyeing up as well, yeah, keep an eye on the Instagrams. But that is all I have to talk about today. I'm going to spend this afternoon doing some minimizing. I have some knitwear to go through. I've discovered with my current depressive symptoms, I cannot keep up with the plants that I have accumulated over the last 6 months. So I'm going to be getting rid of some. So I'll be doing that this afternoon, hopefully too, going through and picking which ones I will be selling. And yeah, so I just need to pull things back. I need to focus on the fact that we're moving in a couple of months, hopefully, and we'll be moving obviously into a smaller house. Even though we're sharing at the moment, most of our belongings are out in the garage, so we will be moving into a small home, and it will not have a garage or anything like that. From the prices of things that we're looking at, it will have a carport but not a garage, so we're not going to have storage space. So as well as my mental health, I cope better when there's not clutter everywhere. So that is what I'm really working on behind the scenes, you know, when I'm not working on yarn things. And I spoke about this in the Patreon only video, that I am minimizing, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of filming today as well, because I'm going to be starting to get some videos up on my minimalism channel, which is just under my name, Julianne Cole. I'll put the link in the description, and I'll probably be recording and re-uploading, well, I suppose re-uploading the plant decluttering video onto my plant channel as well, which is Julianne of the Jungle. I have renamed that. And yeah, so I'll link that down below too if you're interested in plants. So I guess the last thing to say is, if you are interested in Patreon, you can find the link in the description. It is only $2.20 US per month. And however, I have just received this week notification that they can now accept Australian dollars on Patreon. So I'm probably going to be swapping to Australian dollars, about the equivalent of whatever $2, because the charge is $2 and $2.20 is including GST. So I will figure out what $2 is in Australian dollars, and then I will change the tiers or the tier to be in Australian dollars. So that'll be easier for, I think, all of my patrons are from Australia, or most of them anyway. So that probably will be more helpful for local people. So I'm going to be looking into that. I need to do some things on the back end apparently, with settings and withdrawing funds and things, because all the money that I've collected so far is still sitting in my account on Patreon. So yeah, there's a couple of things that I need to do in order to swap that currency over, but I hope that is going to be a good thing for my patrons. If you are happy, hopefully you are happy that the Australian dollar will be what we're going forward with. But yeah, it is, like I said, it's at the moment it's $2.20 US per month, and you get free knit and knit/spin/weave and chat with me videos. I am going to be putting some more sneaky peek photos up. I took one the other day. I haven't had a chance to post it yet, so there'll be behind the scenes photos that I don't post anywhere else. I'm going to start with some blog posts pretty soon. I'm gathering ideas for that at the moment, so all that kind of stuff is over on Patreon. And you also get early access to these weekly episodes. I will put them up usually on a Friday evening, and for everybody else it gets put up on a Monday. So if you want early access, I'm going to be having some live streams hopefully at some point once I figure out how to do that, and yeah, all that good stuff. So if you're interested, the link is in the description, and if you are not able to support me monetarily, there are other ways that you can help me for free, and that is to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either way, YouTube sees that as engagement. And also make sure that you're subscribed, and ring the bell apparently is supposed to help, but I never do that to anything because I find it annoying. I don't want notifications all the time, so I don't care if you don't click that. But the subscribe button is really appreciated, and of course if you can share with your friends if you think they might be interested in the podcast. So thank you so much for taking the time to do all of that just to help out my little channel and try and get some more traction and some more views, and let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job over here. But yeah, that is about all I'm going to talk about today. I'm not going to rattle on anymore. I keep looking at I've got a Syngonium fantasy over here, and it looks like its new leaf is going to be completely white, and I'm really excited. I keep looking at it. That is one plant that will survive the culling, I have to say. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you have a great week until I see you again. So happy knitting, happy crafting, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!